Hello, welcome back to another evening in the arena, and it is a tribal video, and we are sticking with the Saprolings. A YouTube supporter sent me a Saproling list, and said they had a 21-5 record with it. They samed pretty thrilled with it. I made a couple small changes to my liking, and we're going to take it out and play with it today. Slimefoot, Spore Swarm, Sapherd, all this stuff. It's probably not particularly fresh or new to you, but there's a tiniest bit of spice, and with Goblin Chainwhirler not being absolutely everywhere, like 40-some% of the meta like it was last season, decks like this can get out there and light it up a bit, especially on a budget. And it's not a very expensive deck to build. You gotta go get your Tendershoot Dryads. But other than that, most of the other cards are pretty optional. It helps to have your Overgrown Tombs as well, of course. Our opponent hits the ground running on the Llanowar Elf. We don't have an answer to that, but at least they don't have a Steel Leaf champion. But man, they are ramping hard, and I look forward to seeing what shenanigans they bring. I'll start the party with a Sapherd. And is it like a Carnage Tyrant? What are we dealing with? So much mana. So much mana. But no attacks. I mean, I will try this. If the opponent has a pump spell, so be it. I'm happy to trade this for that. And if it's a pump spell, that's fine. My opponent can spend their pump spell to get through my first of many Saprolings. I think we save this for the biggest thing we can possibly see. And pass turn. Our opponent shows that they're a Titanic Growth type. Gotta watch out for them crafty tricks. There's the Galta. Well, we'll show that we have Spore Swarm. So this is really the only card I added to the list. The deck had several removal spells. I cut 3 of them for Finality, which I find just an amazing card for grinding, especially when you're playing cards like Chupacabra already. You can get your Chupacabras back, you can get your Slimefoots back, and I found it to be an amazing addition to the deck, so I'm really excited to have it. I don't end up using the Finality side, but there's something really fun that happens. I was going to say I don't use it too often, but when I do use it, there's something really fun that happens when you have a board full of creatures, a Slimefoot, and you cast Finality and drain the opponent out with your own sweeper effect. It is using the term magical just too cliche? I feel like it's magical. So I think that the best use this turn is to get out the Sapherd and the Slimefoot and just go very, very wide as quickly as possible. Maybe we'll even get to do it this game. Another Chupacabra off the top. I do feel like I need to save it though. There's nothing wrong with making 1/1s out of the Slimefoot. So this is a 1/1. This is a 3/3. So we could send an attack, but with 2 Druids of the Cowl, I don't see a point. So I'm going to pass the turn. We definitely want to make sure we make some plays all over the place with these with this Song of Freyalise about to go off. A Vinemare from the opponent. Okay. And they have played out their hand. This is about to get really saucy. Okay, we didn't have enough. It did pause, so I thought I may as well try. So now I'm going to take my draw step. Before this goes off, I want to make... Yeah, I don't want to cast more things right now. I want to make more tokens so that it gets the bonus from the song. And let's get them. Here comes a lot of pain. The opponent wants no more. Well, that was a good opening salvo. A little bit of a green mirror with the token deck prevailing. Let's get in and have a look at the deck. So This version, unlike any other Saproling deck I've ever played, it doesn't use Llanowar Elves, and it uses a lot more removal. It takes it in sort of this mid-range direction, which is why I thought that Finality would go well in it, and I have not been disappointed. So Deadweights and Cast Downs, as well as Ravenous Chupacabra and Vraska's Contempt, all just take out the most important cards from the opponent. I'm tempted to also use Assassin's Trophy, but I haven't missed it, to be honest. It seems like fighting the creature battles has been more important. I keep on thinking that I should turn these into Assassin's Trophies, but I've never, like, so far it hasn't cost me. So until it does, I'm going to stick with what's working. So without Llanowar Elves, we do have the typical package here with Song of Freyalise, Migration, the Thallid, the Sapherds, and Slimefoots, Spore Swarm, Tendershoot Dryad. It's just that the flex spots, instead of going even harder down that creature road, we took a mid-range kind of kill stuff. But ever since I added the Finalities, like getting back Slimefoot and Chupacabra feels so good, and Tendershoot Dryad. As the worst thing that happens is either you don't have a Chupa when you need one, or your opponent removes your key pieces. So, also sometimes you just get your lords back, the Sporecrowns. You just grab those back out of the graveyard so that your creatures are always bigger. I really want the 4th find. I haven't decided if or what to cut for it though. It's almost like it's a spiky Thallid list. I'm not saying it's tier 1 or anything like that, but it's probably above average power level for tribal decks that are a bit too dialed in on their tribalness, if that makes sense. So this is an interesting hand where we're in for Sporecrown into Sporecrown, hopefully into a Swarm, into a Tendershoot. It could be over quickly, but if the opponent kills these, then it may also be a little ugly. Our opponents have been hitting the elves pretty hard. Song of Freyalise might be very helpful very soon. I think we can play it next turn, and then move right into a Tendershoot perhaps, if our creatures are alive. A Boros Guildgate implies that perhaps there is some direct damage in our future. There is a Deadweight. You know what? I mean, I'm really tempted to play the Song. If I don't, I may not have a play next turn, because if I don't draw a land, Song with these out is only 3 mana. I do want to get rid of this quite a bit. Bolt the bird is what they say, but is it right in this case? I think I'm going to take a risk. My Song may be delayed, but I think I want to go this route rather than play the Song into the Thallids. I think I want to wait just a little longer. It could be a mistake, but if my opponent has a shock or some other kind of 2 damage effect, Fiery Cannonade, having both these out together could be really good. Not to mention getting the elf out of the way keeps them from going straight into Aurelia or something else of massive power. Another elf. I'm really not sure what my opponent's getting up to. I'd like to think it's not sweepers, but it doesn't have to not be sweepers. Drawing the Slimefoot gives us a good play this turn. 4 or 5 too. Goreclaw. Okay, I see where this is going. So we draw a Swarm. We don't have enough for Tendershoot to boost everything, but getting it out when my opponent is showing that they don't actually have removal seems really good. And we can always... No, we can't. We would need to land a Spore Swarm before the Song goes off, but I think playing the Tendershoot sounds really good. I'm going to attack with Slimefoot, since it's a 4/5 and my opponent is tapped out here. I'd be much more afraid to block with the Thallids on the table. And the opponent with untapped mana. So we get 4 in, and now I'll drop the Tendershoot Dryad. Our opponent needs a big turn. Easily the nastiest would be a Deafening Clarion, but it would kill their own creatures. Goreclaw implies that they have something huge to play. Will it be an angel? Will it be a dinosaur? Will it be a worm? Will it be a dragon? There's a lot of things that a Naya deck could present here. But the commonality is that they're usually very big. Also, we're one token from Ascending with City's Blessing, which will boost all of these even more. So it's now or never for our opponent to have a removal spell. But they seem focused on giant monsters. Ah, you're touching the Tendershoot. That's scary. And Banefire will take it out. Alrighty. The Tendershoot wasn't meant to be here. Wasn't meant to live. How about Goreclaw? Is Goreclaw meant to live? I think the opponent absolutely has to save their blockers or the song will kill them. And you can see they're really in the tank about what to do here. But I think they're in a terrible place. I think it's going to get very sad. Oh, even another Anthem on top of it. So when the song goes off, our creatures gain Vigilance, Trample, and Indestructible. So there's no reason not to attack with all of them. And I don't know that my opponent can live. This, a good way to do the math is you take their life total, you add it to the toughness of their creatures, that's 17. Then you subtract from it the power of your creatures. We have 15 right there, 21. So 21 minus 17, 4. Or 17 minus 21, negative 4. So even if our opponent blocked, they could not survive. And the Song of Freyalise claims another victim. When allowed to go all the way to the last chapter, it is a pounding. I wonder how much of an impact killing that elf actually had on the game. If our opponent had a Goreclaw the next turn, could they have played something bigger or stronger? Interesting hand. That is a lot of painful mana. And it's not like the Finality is doing anything off this hand right away, but I do have Song and Saproling Migration to play out a Tendershoot, so I think I can try it. But it's weird that I have a good amount of removal in the deck, but none in my opener, which always makes me nervous that I could get run over. Never mind. Green-black meets green-black. But our opponent is on Wild Growth Walker. Let's start the party. Depending on how our opponent's curving out, I think we're just going to go for the token strategy and go with the Sapherd and the Song next turn into a Tendershoot Dryad. They're setting up for a lot of Explore. Very curious how this all could work out. One thing that's a little risky here is if our opponent has Vraska, the 4-mana Vraska, to just blow up the Song. And then all we really did was make a little bit of a mana advantage with it. And will it be Jade Light Ranger? No, it's Issaret the Awakener. Okay. But no Explorer yet from the opponent, which I gotta say, I don't mind. So, where are we at? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is 10. So we can pump our creatures right now. We'll have 3 mana left over if we wanted it. The thing is, do I want to attack my opponent here and make them trade their Issaret, or do I want to wait till this goes off? I think the answer is to let this go off. So if that's the case, I'm just going to enter the battlefield tapped, drop the Tendershoot, and pass the turn. I don't want to take trades. I want to slam for max damage when my creatures are indestructible. And we'll see if our opponent is packing a removal spell. Now would be the time for a Chupacabra, an Assassin's Trophy, something of that nature. Well, that will do it. It can blow up the Song, which is a big deal.
Is up to you.
But it doesn't stop the Tendershoot from wreaking all havoc.
Draw and fire.
Okie dokie. I think that taking out the Awakener and sending the rest of the team is probably very good. Our opponent could double block the Tendershoot. How much would they take? Well, not enough to be lethal. We could also just drop a Sporecrown and not care about the Awakener. I don't know if killing Vivian is even important. Getting a creature here, I mean, an explorer creature is about the only serious problem. Still, a Vraska's Contempt on the Awakener takes away all the good blocks. Yeah, let's do it. It also solves what could be a future problem with an Explorer creature. We'll send 2 here, so if the opponent wants to double chump, they can. To protect Vivian, because I'd rather they did that. I'd actually be really happy if they double chumped.
No? So it's going to be like that, huh?
Even if the opponent finds a way to kill our Tendershoot, getting it back can be very awesome here. And we can just grind them into the ground with the Tendershoot, much like people try to do with the Izoni Thousand-Eyed. But the great thing about the Tendershoot is it's cheaper and it doesn't require a big old graveyard. So our opponent saved all of their Explorer creatures for this big turn to try to get their Wild Growth Walkers cooking. We'll see how that pays off for them. A dead weight. That's interesting. I think we'll play the Thallid and we'll launch the fleet. But we'll pull back our Dryad. And see what the opponent's got for this. And a dead weight can likely take out a Wild Growth Walker after damage, although 1 will remain. I think the Jade Light should block another Fungus, another sap. And then Seeker Squire, if you want to save some damage, you can do it that way. Okay, what else do you have? This Tendershoot Dryad is really going the distance, as our opponent hasn't had a removal spell yet, but they found one. Good old Vraska the Relic Seeker.
To be taken down a peg.
Spooky.
I'm sorry. Were you using that?
And 1 mana does what here? I wonder. Our opponent was touching their card as if to play it, but looks like they're going to pass. Ooh, Song. So with the Song, we could Finality back the Tendershoot and replay it this turn, but we wouldn't have too much offense. Yeah, Vraska minusing can kill another thing, but I have another Finality, so I don't even care. I think I just want to... Let's see, how do we properly bait our opponent into doing what we want? I think if I send a Sapherd here threatening the Wild Growth Walker, will block that instead, which means everything else can go face, and we can get a massive amount of face damage in, and then we can use the Finality to get the creatures back, and play Song of Freyalise. And in the meantime, our opponent takes so much damage. Okay, they chose to block the Sporecrown, lose the Vraska. See, that's what I expected, is the Vraska would minus to kill the Sporecrown anyway. So now we can return our creatures. Let the grind begin. And I'm going to play a Song of Freyalise and start ticking that towards the last chapter, which is almost certain to wreck the opponent, but it's worth noting we only have 4 lands, not 5, so having this going is important to actually cast the Tendershoot. Second Walker. Is your last card an Explorer creature? You could really use it. Okay. Song ticking away. Does our opponent have Assassin's Trophy? Is that what we're up against here? I guess we'll find out. Land. Tendershoot Dryad. If they had it, we would have played it earlier, which would mean they drew it off the top. Their last card could have been Wild Growth Walker a turn ago. Strikes me as a little odd, but not ridiculous. Everybody at him. If I had attacked with everything at 11 and he'd take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, he'd be alive. Unless I missed the maths, which is possible. It is almost 1 in the morning after all. But I figure slightly tired and evening CGB, nighttime, kind of smooth voice CGB is better than no CGB at all. At least I hope that's the way you feel. Alright, well, with that, another successful run as this deck continues to just toast them. I very much enjoyed playing it, and I want to thank HLCZ, of course, for the Patreon support, but also for sending me the sweet list to try out and play. And I hope that you can enjoy it as well if you're into Saprolings as much as myself and HLCZ is. All right. Well, thank you very much for watching. As always, if you would like to consider supporting the channel and sending me deck lists, you can click the Patreon button in the description. But if you can't or don't wish to, that's totally fine too. I hope you enjoyed the video. And as always, I will see you in the next one. Good night.